This is by far my most asked question, and it's why I purchased my third investment property using a company and trust structure. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am not an accountant and this is not financial advice. If you do want to set up a trust to purchase property, you will need to speak with an accountant to see if this is suitable for you. First of all, I needed to speak with a property savvy accountant. After many discussions, we decided on a corporate trustee structure, which basically means that my accountant helped me open a company which purchased my property on behalf of my family trust that I also opened with that accountant. The main reason that I used this structure instead of purchasing in my personal name was in hopes to preserve my borrowing power. Some lenders will disregard the debt in this structure if your property is positively geared. So this means that if you purchase a property and a year later, that property with rental increases or a rate drop or a refinance to a better rate becomes positively geared, they will disregard this debt and allow you to purchase with that full borrowing power again. For time's sake, I'm just going to quickly go through some pros and cons. The pros are it can help you preserve your borrowing power, it can help with protection as it's not in your personal name, and there are also tax benefits. Some of the cons include the costs, so it is a lot more costly to set up and the ongoing costs are more expensive as well. There are also some land tax implications that you will need to discuss with your accountant before buying.
This is really good advice and it is a strategy that we generally use. I always do not recommend setting up an individual trustee because it's basically still your name. The reason why we use a corporate trustee is the company. This is mainly because with any trust, it's sort of like a child and needs an adult to sign for it. And the difference between an individual and a corporate trustee is who that adult is that signs for it, which is actually the one who technically purchases that property, even though it's in trust. It's a little bit confusing, but ultimately the reason why we use a corporate trustee, we use a company to be that adult that signs that property. And yes, there is some land tax implications. To be completely honest with you, as an accountant, we actually can't advise on that as it is a duty. It's not part of our tax law interpretation that we're allowed to do. So I actually recommend that you talk to a conveyancer or a property lawyer to get the specifics, because depending on the trust, lead you in hot water around foreign ownership implications, land tax differences and surcharges. So there's a whole range of issues that a proper lawyer will be able to help you with. This is also why all our trust deeds, we don't do them internally. We get a legal firm to set all those up so they are constantly updated and are the most optimal for tax and protection purposes. Also, the strategy around the borrowing capacity, it is called debt hiding. Have seen it happen and done a few different deals legitimately that the banks were perfectly happy with, where we've set up multiple trusts, partnership of trusts, and a few other structures as well, which helps hide different debt to allow people to increase their borrowing capacity while still using the equity in those other properties owned by that trust. It gets a bit complicated and confusing, but the way that we help people is that we get on board with your mortgage broker, your lawyers, your conveyancers, your property advisor, and we sort of are the glue that brings them all together, so that way you don't have to worry too much. We'll still try and explain things to you in simple terms, but our goal is to bring all those different bits of advice, funnel them together to give you the best possible outcome.